Okay. Yeah.
All right. Can I have a seat, please?
Are we going to be in the same one?
What do you mean, same one?
Same jail?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yay!
I don't think there's anything that I could do that would keep the community safe. And it's clearly a dangerous crime. All the elements, I think, have been met.
Look at this patrol car footage. The timestamp reads January 23rd, 2026. Two girls sit in the back seat of a police cruiser in Altamonte Springs, Florida, handcuffs on.
It was so cool. I was like, damn. I forget that there's just like videos.
Yeah.
Like that.
I like the little there, right?
And they are laughing. Not the nervous kind, not the kind that breaks down if you wait long enough. Just laughter. One of them is thinking about her mugshot, whether it will look good online. The other is joking about prison, how many years, what it might be like. They sound exactly like what they are, teenagers. But the officers sitting in the front of that car already know something the girls don't seem to remember. They know what was inside the backpack. A knife, 10 to 12 inches long, latex gloves, trash bags, cleaning wipes, and flowers. All of it carried through the front doors of Lake Brantley High School that morning. All of it allegedly brought for one purpose: to end the life of a 15-year-old boy in an upstairs bathroom. This was not a rumor passed between classes, not a threat written in a notebook and never meant. Police say this was a plan, mapped to a location, tied to a weapon, connected to a ritual, a blood bond, built around a mass shooter who had been dead for over a decade. And the boy they allegedly selected, he had no idea. To him, January 23rd was just another school day. The only reason he made it home was a single anonymous report filed before sunrise.
When a teen reports hearing voices, for one, that stood out to me, and commanding them to harm others, that's a psychiatric emergency. It's not a phase that teenagers go through. That's something that requires immediate professional evaluation. When what we see, a young person expresses a desire to connect with a mass murder, for example, they're telling us that they see violence as their identity.
The allegations of two girls plotting, the allegations of them wanting to hurt and kill your baby, your son. As a mom,
I was destroyed. I still am. It's never going to be the same.
when you read the report and how planned out.
It's very hard. It's very hard. I've broken down a lot. I still break down at work. I still have fear. You know, I haven't been sleeping well. I haven't been eating, and I've been waking up on alert, like high alert 2 to 3 times a night, like when he was an infant.
How is your son?
He's so brave. He is so brave and smart and talented, and the hero of this story is the tipster.
This is the story of the Lake Brantley murder plot, a case where the footage taken after the arrest revealed something investigators said was almost as disturbing as the plan itself, because in that patrol car, the girls never stopped laughing. Some places look exactly like what they are. Lake Brantley High School in Altamonte Springs, Florida, looked like every other large suburban campus north of Orlando. 2,000 students, wide hallways, lockers, a parking lot that filled up the same way every morning. Teachers arrived on January 23, 2026, expecting the same Friday they had every week. Nothing about the morning suggested anything was wrong. But at 5:10 in the morning, before most students had even left their houses, a school resource officer received an alert. It came through Fortify FL Florida's anonymous school safety reporting platform, a tool designed for exactly this kind of moment. The tip was short, specific. A student known by the name Jimmy was planning to harm another student that day. The officer didn't wait. School administrators were contacted. Law enforcement began moving quietly through the building before the first bell. Most of campus never felt the shift. Students walked in, found their seats, opened their phones. They had no idea that somewhere in that same building, investigators were already closing in. That is what makes this case worth understanding. Not just what was planned, but how it was stopped. One person submitted one anonymous report, and because of that, a 15-year-old boy went home that afternoon. Her name was Isabel Aurelia Valdez, 15 years old, a student at Lake Brantley High School, and according to investigators, she was the one who built the plan. Police say this did not begin with anger, not with a fight in the hallway, not with a grudge. It began with an obsession, a fixation so specific, so deeply embedded that investigators would later describe it as the organizing force behind everything that followed. The subject of that obsession was Adam Lanza, the Sandy Hook shooter, dead since December of 2012. According to investigators, Valdez had become consumed by him, his history, his psychology, what she believed he represented. She allegedly told police she used to hear his voice in her head, guiding her. Then at some point, the voice stopped. That absence, investigators say, is part of what drove the plan forward. She believed a ritual, a blood bond, could restore the connection, not to a living person, to a dead one, to someone who had been gone for over a decade. This is what separated the case from other school threats. Most plots investigators see are built on anger, revenge, desperation. This one was built on something colder, meaning. Valdez allegedly believed the act would carry spiritual weight, that it would open something, restore something. Fantasy had become intent, and intent had become a plan. He was 15 years old, a classmate, a boy who walked the same hallways, sat in the same kinds of plastic chairs, moved through the same daily rhythms as everyone else at Lake Brantley High. Authorities have never released his name. He is a minor, and in many ways, that anonymity tells the most important part of his story. He did not know he had been selected. Investigators say he had no history with Valdez, no conflict, no confrontation. He was not chosen because of anything he had done. He was chosen, according to investigators, because of what he looked like, because police say Valdez believed he resembled Adam Lanza. That detail lands differently the longer you sit with it. In most cases of planned school violence, there is a relationship, a grievance, a specific wound being answered. This was not that. The boy was selected for a reason that had nothing to do with him at all. He was a symbol in someone else's private world, and he had no idea. Investigators say Valdez allegedly observed him, tracked his patterns, learned enough about his routine to know where he would be and when. He moved through his school days the way any 15-year-old does, unaware, unbothered. January 23rd was supposed to be an ordinary Friday. For him, it still was. He just never knew how close it came to being something else entirely. When investigators examined what Valdez had allegedly constructed, what they found was not vague. It was not a fantasy written in a notebook and left there. It was a sequence, step by step, location confirmed, method decided, materials prepared. The location was an upstairs bathroom at Lake Brantley High School, chosen deliberately, away from traffic, away from teachers, a place where, for a few unwitnessed minutes, someone could be cornered. The plan, according to police, was to wait, to let him walk in, then pull him into a stall. What was supposed to happen inside that stall, investigators documented in detail: a knife to the stomach, or his throat, one or the other. The plan accounted for both. The knife itself was 10 to 12 inches long. It did not arrive at school dull. Investigators say Lois Lippert, Valdez's 14-year-old co-conspirator, allegedly helped sharpen it beforehand, tested the edge. This was not a weapon grabbed in a moment of impulse. It had been made ready. Inside the same backpack, officers would later find latex gloves, trash bags, cleaning wipes, a towel, each item with a purpose. The gloves kept evidence off hands. The bags and wipes addressed what came after. Most violent plots investigators encounter are incomplete, emotionally charged, logistically hollow. This one had post-attack thinking built in. That is the detail prosecutors would return to again and again. Not just that the plan existed, but that she had already thought past it. There were other items in the backpack, items that, without context, might seem out of place alongside a knife and latex gloves, flowers, cigarettes, and a lighter, candy. They were not out of place. They were the point. Investigators say the flowers were meant to be left with the victim after the attack, not as remorse, as ritual, part of a sequence that had been scripted in advance. The cigarettes carried their own weight. According to investigators, Valdez allegedly said she wanted them for after, not to calm her nerves, because she knew she would be arrested. She had factored in consequences, built them into the timeline, and kept moving forward anyway. That is the detail that unsettled investigators most. Deterrence assumes a person fears what follows. Here, police say she expected it, accepted it, and still came to school that morning with a sharpened knife and a bag full of items meant for a ritual she believed carried meaning beyond the act itself. The blood bond concept, as investigators understood it, was the center of everything. This was not violence for satisfaction, not rage looking for a release. It was violence as a spiritual transaction, a killing she believed would forge a connection to someone long dead, and that now more than the knife, more than the gloves, more than any single piece of evidence, is what told investigators exactly what kind of case they were dealing with. Before the backpack, before the bathroom, before any of it moved into the physical world, there were messages. Investigators say the planning did not happen in silence. It happened in writing, on Discord, and the chat platform used by millions of teenagers every day for gaming, music, conversation. The platform was not the problem. What was inside it was. According to investigators, Valdez used private messages to build the conspiracy out loud. She discussed the ritual, the blood bond, what she believed the act would accomplish. She allegedly sent a message to Lippert that the following day it would all be over, not a warning, a timeline. And Lippert responded, not by pulling away, not by reporting it, by showing up. Police say she brought gloves, a lighter, cigarettes, and allegedly helped sharpen the knife. Investigators also say Lippert created drawings, disturbing ones, depicting the intended victim. That detail matters, not for shock, but for what it legally established. This was not one person's private obsession that another person stumbled into. It was shared, built together, documented. In criminal cases, digital evidence rarely lies. It captures what people say when they believe no one official is watching. It captures coordination, timing, intent expressed in real time. Here, the messages did not just reveal what Valdez believed. They showed Lippert's role in making it real. Two people, one plan, a paper trail left in plain sight. Somewhere, someone read the messages, or heard something, or saw enough to understand that this was not the kind of thing you dismiss. At 5:10 in the morning on January 23, 2026, a school resource officer at Lake Brantley High received an alert through Fortify FL. The tip was anonymous. It named a student, used the name Jimmy, said that student was planning to harm someone at school that day. 5:10 in the morning. The hallways were still empty. Most students were still asleep. The plan was allegedly set to happen in hours. The officer acted immediately. School administration was contacted. A quiet chain of response began moving through the building before the first bell ever rang. No lockdown, no public announcement, no panic in the hallways, just controlled, deliberate intervention, while the rest of the campus remained completely unaware. That timing is everything. Had the tip arrived later, mid-morning, after students had filled the hallways, the response would have looked different. Had it not arrived at all, investigators say the outcome might have been different too. In many cases that end in tragedy. There were people who saw warning signs and stayed quiet, unsure, afraid of being wrong, afraid of the consequences of being right. This time, someone chose differently. They reported what they knew, before sunrise, before it was too late, and that one decision changed everything that followed. They brought Valdez into the assistant principal's office, quietly, away from the hallway, away from other students. Her backpack came with her. Investigators began questioning her. At some point, according to police, she acknowledged that she had planned to harm another student. Then they opened the bag. The knife was there, 10 to 12 inches, already sharpened. Beside it, latex gloves, trash bags, cleaning wipes, a towel, flowers, a lighter, cigarettes. Every item accounted for, every item with a purpose investigators already understood. There is a particular kind of silence that falls in a room when a theory becomes physical evidence, when what was described in a tip matches exactly what is sitting on a desk in front of you. This was that moment. The case had shifted. It was no longer a report, no longer an allegation waiting on confirmation. It was real. The plan had not stayed in. Her head had not stayed in the messages. She had carried it through the front doors of Lake Brantley High School that morning. All of it, ready. And later, when that patrol car footage would show the girls laughing in the back seat, officers watching already knew what had been in that backpack. That is what made the laughter land the way it did. After the arrest, the cameras kept recording. Inside the patrol vehicle, the body cam footage ran for nearly 30 minutes. What investigators expected to capture was fear, shock, quiet, maybe tears. What the footage actually showed was something else. The girls talked, casually, comfortably, as if the ride were unremarkable. One of them wondered how her mugshot would look online, whether it would circulate, whether people would recognize her face.
Hey, what are you doing here? What are you...
No, he's not.
Gonna be arrested too.
What? Why?
Yes, I told him he knew. He didn't report me. I told him already. He did a tip?
There was a tip shown. Did you not see it?
No?
Someone tipped.
He fucking snitched.
I don't get why I wouldn't tell the police he put the tip though.
Huh?
The police, he did a tip though. Cause it was anonymous tip, but I was just assuming it was by the writing.
Yeah.
Just like
It was?
Yeah.
Oh my fucking god. But I knew I shouldn't have told him. Cause he was like, oh, can you please tell me I can't sleep tonight? Fuck you! God!
Yeah, I got shown the tip and it was like, my friend, 15-year-old, named, he goes by Jimmy, is planning to kill some dude. Yeah, and it was like, I don't really remember their real name, but I think it was Isabel. Yeah, it was spelled wrong too, so.
God! She's such a fucking snitch.
That's immediately who I thought when I saw that fucking tip.
So stupid.
It's so cold in that room.
Which, I know. Dude, they had me sitting there and I was so... Dude, they took away my chocolate.
No!
I was able to eat, like, a part of it, like a part of the big bar.
Oh my god.
But then that's it.
Damn it. Bro, I wanted to come back to second period so I could have, like, nibbled on some with you. I was like, this was my main goal. Because, like, they spent, like, an hour at the beginning just, like, trying to... And I only realized that, like, then, like, I was like, yeah, this is their preferred name. I don't know their real name, man, like, at all.
The other joked about prison, what it would be like, how long they might be there. Then came the detail prosecutors would return to in court. The girls discussed the plan that had just been stopped, and one of them reportedly described what they had intended to do together as a bonding experience. That phrase did something to everyone who heard it. It took a word that belongs to friendship, to closeness, and placed it over something entirely different. It revealed how the plan had been framed, not as violence, as connection. They also talked about the true crime community, about becoming known within it, about what their case might become. There was no indication in that footage, in 30 minutes of recorded conversation, that either of them fully grasped the weight of what they had allegedly carried into school that morning. When that footage was played at the bond hearing, the courtroom went quiet. Prosecutors did not need to argue at length. The video made the argument. It showed the court exactly what it needed to see, not just what had been planned, but who had planned it, and how they sounded when it was over. The judge denied bond. Both girls remained in custody. The courtroom treated this case the way the evidence demanded, not as a juvenile incident, not as a rumor that escalated, as a premeditated attempted murder planned by two minors who had now been charged as adults. Isabel Valdez, 15, Lois Lippert, 14, both facing attempted first-degree premeditated murder, both facing weapons charges, both held without bond. The case had been transferred to adult court, and the judge's decision on bond signaled something the courtroom understood clearly. This was not being treated lightly. Prosecutors built their argument on 4 pillars: the planning, the physical evidence, the digital messages, and the footage. Each one alone would have been significant. Together, they formed a picture of premeditation that was difficult to argue against. The case moved beyond Florida quickly. The ages of the suspects, the Sandy Hook fixation, the ritual element, the body cam footage, all of it combined into something the national conversation could not easily set aside. People debated school safety systems, the reach of violent online subcultures, what it means when teenagers build this kind of plan, and how much further it might have gone. As of March 2026, both girls remain in custody, awaiting trial. No resolution yet, no final chapter written. But there is one detail that stays. A 15-year-old boy walked into Lake Brantley High School on January 23rd, not knowing his name had been written into someone else's plan, not knowing he had been watched, selected, mapped to a location and a time. He went home that afternoon because one person filed a report before sunrise, because a resource officer acted on it immediately, because the system worked exactly once, exactly when it needed to. That boy still has no public name. He is still a minor, still protected, and somewhere in Altamonte Springs, Florida, he is still just a teenager, living a life that almost became the center of someone else's story.